You know, the first question I ask when people come to the tower or come to the museum, I say, who do you think built the tower? And I let everybody have their own theory, because this tower to me represents the birth of American freedom and freedom of thought. I've been studying the tower for about 25 years, and my work is based on this fellow, Professor William Penhallow, who's an astronomer at the University of Rhode Island. In the early 1990s, he found these astronomical alignments in the windows of the tower. He says if you stand in a certain place and on the winter solstice and look through the 2 out of the 3 windows in the tower, the sun will come up and appear in through windows. And you know what? He was right.
And I discovered that the forms of the architecture could be explained in relationship to philosophical ideas that have been a part of European culture for 1,000 years. And that there's no connection between American architecture or culture, for that matter, and the 1,000 years of European culture prior to the neoclassical period through the Renaissance. When I saw the tower and I visited Jim and I listened to what he was saying, I said, my God, here's a connection that I've never seen before between architecture in America and 1,000 years of European history.
While researching the tower, I was quite surprised to find out that in the year 1583, Narragansett Bay was named the John D. Bay and River, named after this fellow John D., who was a mathematician, astronomer, and an expert on navigation. One of his books, the Monas Hieroglyphica, Sacred Symbol of Oneness, it's written in Latin, and so I hired a Latin translator. We went through sentence by sentence, and I deciphered his cryptic riddles. And inside this book, he describes his mathematical cosmology, and it has to do with this shape called the cuboctahedron, and the special magisterial number, which he calls 252. I've been open for about the last 5 years, and I've had about 5,000 people come from every state in the country. Look at this, Fairbanks, Alaska, and this guy here from Arkansas. I had a guy that came from Ecuador the other day, and Bolivia. I get a lot of people from Europe. They come in to see the tower because they've heard about it, and they know that it doesn't fit into any of the other architecture around here. Also, the building, it's been hidden in plain sight, and it's kind of like the Rhode Island joke, the mystery, nobody knows about it. And a lot of local residents, I've asked them about it, and they say, we'd much rather it just remains a mystery. It's so much exciting. I'm like, well, what if the solution to the mystery is more exciting than the mystery itself? So to make a long story short, this is what I think the tower originally looked like. It had these beautiful columns that are still seen today, and then these would be pilasters held on with metal cramp irons. And on the top would be a dome, and inside of the dome would be a camera obscura solar disc calendarum, a horologium, a building that kept track of time by sunlight passing through a hole and marking off the time on the floor. The whole story is an interdisciplinary story, but it also involves astronomy, architecture, perspective, and geometry, and basically how vision works, how the eye works. Because a horologium, a building that keeps track of time, is like an internal sundial, and it works on the same principle as the human eyeball.
For Americans, history sort of begins in the 18th century, and there's one structure in the United States that connects us back to our European heritage, and that's Newport Tower. So, I wish more people would know about this, because it's the only thing I've come across in the entire country that connects to that tradition in this way.